Oh, oh my word. Oh my God. I think it's working, Sean.
All right. Okay. Cool. Cool beans.
Uh, I think
I'm a bit miffed.
I think we're now live on YouTube. Oh my word.
Really?
Oh my God. Yes, we're now live on YouTube. If
Oh
you
well,
go to
you might get some people talking. I'll have a look.
well, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, there we are. There we are.
Yeah.
So, episode 182 record. Yeah, we're there. We're there. I can see us.
All right, cool. I'll keep an eye just in case you get anybody chatting. If you anybody sort of telling us that we don't know what we're talking about, as of course that is what the internet is for. The internet is for telling you exactly how wrong you are. But anyway, Sean, okay, obviously this week we don't have any quiz because your computer's having issues. We seem to be having issues all around. I think Holly's out for dinner somewhere. It was Sharon's birthday yesterday, and she is still recovering from a book binge, and I think there was chocolate cake involved. So she's still recovering from that because I think Sharon's not a drinker, but yeah, give her a book and some chocolate cake, and she will go hard. She went hard at the books yesterday. So it's just the two of us, Sean, you and I. Yeah. We get to have like a nice sort of like
it's a shame we had quite an interesting little quiz today as well lined up, but we'll save it for another time.
We'll save it for another. Okay, like because I see, guessing on the films that you've seen this week, it would have been linked to.
Yeah,
it would have linked to the one.
If you guess any of the films, see if you can guess this. So if I was to say Gregory Peck and Leo Glenn, 1955, I believe.
Ooh, Greg, hang on. What film did you see again this week? I've forgotten.
The Whale.
The Whale. Oh.
Yeah. So yeah.
Moby Dick.
What about Richard Harris and Charlotte Rampling?
Richard Harris and Charlotte Rampling.
Yeah.
Ooh, Old Man and the Sea.
No, Orca.
Okay.
Orca. Anyway, you get the theme. So,
yes.
And there was also a William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy one, which I'm sure you can guess.
Oh yeah, Star Trek San Francisco. I think for the voyage home, or was it?
That's it exactly. Yeah, that's the one. So yeah, and I had one other which would have been quite good. I think the first one would have been quite good, but never mind. That would have.
Oh,
anyway, let's go. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. So for anybody who's joining us on YouTube, just to let you know that this is us recording as you can see, we are just messing around at the moment. We don't really know it. We're trying this thing now to see whether it will work. Although, Sean, we have the same color walls. I just realized that.
Yeah. It must be a common. Oh, was that cheap knockoff stuff we got from the.
Yeah, but this was done sometime in the 80s. This is
exactly.
Getting cheap knockoff stuff on the back of mirrors was all the rage in the 80s. So what we're gonna do is that we are going to start recording the podcast. We're gonna and if there's anything that we talk about that you want to talk about, just put a reply on this on the live video on YouTube. So anyway, let us kick. I think this week. Well, let's just kick off and we'll figure it out as we go along.
Yeah.
Right. Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema. My name is Tosin and I am your host. We are a podcast that goes to the cinema each week, sees a couple of films, rates them out of 5, sees stuff at home, rates them out of 5, and then figures out where money has been better spent this week. Now, as I said, my name is Tosin, I'm the host, and joining me as always on the Isle of Wight is Sean Harris.
Hello there. Hello.
Hello, Sean. Sean, the last couple of weeks we've come over here, we've had people who have reacted to some of your reviews.
That generally happens even when I talk to people, like friends and stuff. So yeah,
people react.
At least it's conversation pieces, eh?
I agree. And the latest one is that we had just before we came on, I replied to an email or replied to a comment that somebody had left on your review of Till, the film about the Emmett Till story, and I've replied, and now I'm going to have to really, really concentrate because I see that this person has just replied back. So I'm kind of like going, oh, wait a second, Terrence, oh, is it going to be okay, cool, nice and civil, or is it going to be one of those internet things? And I'm just going to let that lie and let that be some suspense for me until later on. But anyway, let us talk about the things that we have seen in the cinema this week. So Sean, what did you see in the cinema this week?
Okay, I've had quite a lean week this week. I've started watching a couple of series, which when they're finished, hopefully I'll review later.
Mhm.
There hasn't been a lot on and timing, so I've only seen one this week, which is a bit of a surprise for me, and that is The Whale.
The Whale, The Whale. Obviously, because there's Oscars coming up and everybody is trying to get, well, what tends to happen in the UK is that we tend to get all the stuff that's going to be on at the Oscars in sort of January, February, like really close to the Oscars, even though to qualify for the Oscars, they had to be out in America like early on. They had to be out of America like sometime, I think, before Christmas. So all these films have been out and people have been talking about them and they've been winning awards and all that, but we're only just getting them now. So you've seen The Whale. Now, I went to see a film that is not going to bother any awards whatsoever. And that is an animated movie called Epic Tales, because I have had a week of it. So I haven't me leaving the house today to go to the cinema was the first time I'd left my house since Sunday. So this is being recorded on a Thursday because my daughter was ill. There was all sorts of bodily fluids flying out around the place, which she passed on to me. And so we've just been sort of like hunkering down in the house. And then today she told me, Daddy, you want to go to the cinema? And I was like, well, I'm not going to say no to that. So we went to the cinema and I think the options were either seeing this or there was some other film. I can't remember what it was, but it was something like Scream 3 or Scream 6 or something like that.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm taking a 2-year-old to go see that. But so we ended up watching a film called Epic Tales. How about home? What did you see at home?
At home, I watched a thing which I watched it a while ago. Actually, it was a Netflix thing called Devotion, which was like a
the pilots.
The pilots. That's it. You got it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. So in that case, Sean, I'll tell you what. How about you kick us off? You kick. Oh! I'm going to talk about what I saw. I saw something called Truth Be Told. Well, that's the one I'm going to bring to the table. I've seen a couple of things, but I've seen something called Truth Be Told on Apple TV Plus with Octavia Spencer. So, Sean, you kick us off and you talk to us about The Whale. What is The Whale about?
Okay, so The Whale basically is the story of. I mean, I'm sure people that are into the cinema will be pleased about it. So it's about an really obese character that is like he's like a teacher that does his work online, but he never shows himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a disaster that happened in his life, and he's divorced from his wife, and he's got a teenage daughter. He's got a teenage daughter that's that he doesn't really see or hasn't really seen for a while, and then she obviously turns up on the scene for whatever reason. So it starts off. He obviously struggles with his weight. You know, he has to move around, and he's obviously not very healthy, and he has these conditions, these heart conditions, and he's got a like a Chinese nurse lady that comes around and sort of helps him out and stuff, but still feeds him. Still, you know, you like and there's like a pizza,
played by Hong Chau.
Hong Chau, yeah, who I recognised from to be fair, is absolutely she's really good.
No, I love Hong Chau. I think Hong Chau is brilliant.
Yeah. I liked her in the menu as well. But yeah, so she's like a nurse, but she's a sympathetic one. So, you know, like although she sort of says, "Oh, you got to watch it," and that, she still will like make him sandwiches and still feed him because that's what she wants to do. There's like a pizza lad that delivers 2 pizzas every day, and it's only later on that he goes, "Oh, are you okay in there?" and what have you. But you know, he eats like just eats constantly eats, and then is and there's also a dude that's like, he says that he's not a Mormon, but he's part of a, you know, evangelistic, I forget what they call them, like the Love Path or something like that, which turns
evangelistic sect or something like that.
Yeah, something like that he was part of, and he sort of says, "Oh, I'm trying to spread the word." So he sort of turns up because he's having the guy's having an episode, and he just happens to turn and knock on the door, and he goes, "Come in," and so the religious dude comes in. He goes, "What are you, Mormons or something?" He goes, No, I'm from and he says, "Oh, read this," and he gives him piece of paper.
Yeah.
Says, you know, read that, and then he recovers and stuff. And anyway, and then his daughter comes around, and Yeah,
okay, sure. Okay, first of all, I can see that you're struggling to actually talk about what happens in this film, and
yeah.
it seems to sort of like tally with what I've heard about this film, which is kind of like it's one of these films where it's not like there's a major plot pushing it forward. It's not
No,
as if okay, this happens and because this happens, that happens, that happens, and that happens. That is almost like
that's
just
it.
almost
I
sort of
mean,
like eavesdropping on this guy's life.
yeah. To me, that's it. Yeah, they sort of drop in, and his daughter, who's been fairly estranged, she to me the supporting cast is really really good. I don't know the actress's name. I should have done my research. I know, but
Sadie Sink, I believe it is.
yeah. I think someone said she might have been in Stranger Things or something. I was talking the other day, but she's absolutely first class as a really stroppy, nasty teenager. Absolutely. And believe it or not, she's called Ellie as well. So, but yeah,
so Sean, how is your daughter?
totally stroppy, believable. So you've got the nurse, which is believable. You've got the stroppy teenager, which is believable. There's a strange wife pops up later who's semi-believable as an alcoholic. And as I say, you've got this religious dude. So, and the pizza man that you see for just for an instant. Okay, for me now, this was, I think this should have been made for the stage. And in fact, there's a few scenes where I thought, yeah, this is because it mostly takes place in the room. Mostly takes place
in the room. It is in its flat, yeah,
in the flat, and it's like, oh, I could see that if I was a stage manager and putting the props and where they are and with the tables and the seats where they are, because there's one prime bit where it actually looks like you would have seen it in a theatre where I mean, to pick up on something like that, it's like he's touching the side of the evangelist dude. He's touching the side of a table and he stood there like just staring away, if you like. Well, the chap's rabbit on the background. I thought that's stage. That's like stage. And it reminded me of. I mean, there was another film which I thought was very like a stage play, and that was Fences. Do you remember Fences with Denzel Washington?
Fences is an adaptation of a stage play. Yes.
I think I said the same thing there, and it reminded me of that it was very staged. I guess you could say it was a very very staged, and where people place themselves, it's like, oh yeah, that's where your mark is. That's where everybody was on their marks. But the actual performances were really really good. Although the whale himself,
Brendan Fraser, who's up for all the awards.
I know. Perhaps there's something wrong with me, Toes, but he was the weakest part. I thought the whole thing. I thought he was the weakest out of. Well, maybe the evangelist dude was probably the weakest, followed by his ex-wife and then himself. But the nurse and the girl were absolutely fabulous. And there is a good. You understand at the end. There is quite a good reveal at the end, why he's in the condition that he's in. So that's the thing I didn't want to spoil. There is, I mean, the final piece, the final scene is, you can understand why he's called the whale and why he's done what he's done.
All right, cool. So now there is this film. Obviously, we're going to get to the point where we're going to ask you to give what you thought about it. But I felt like there's people who said I watched this film and I was crying, it was so thing and everything like that. And there's people who are going bunch of rubbish. I've heard people actually even say, I actually had somebody say what you just said, which is but they said it a bit. They were like, this isn't a film, this is a play that has been filmed. Like somebody just put the camera down and filmed the play. And it's and I've heard all those things. But for you, Sean, how many stars and why?
Okay. Why? Let's just think. I think I'm going to give it a 3-star because I didn't actually, I didn't dislike it. I didn't think it was amazing, but I did like some of the performances. I really, really did like Ellie's performance. The actress who played Ellie, I really liked, and I really did like the nurse. So, on the whole, I would give this a 3-star. This would be a 3-star one, but not amazing, not terrific acting, Oscar worthy. I don't think so.
So Brendan doesn't get your vote.
No, Brendan wouldn't get my vote for being the whale.
All right. Okay,
So yeah,
cool. Good stuff. And yeah, another one of those films that I just haven't managed to find around here.
yeah.
I haven't managed to find it. I
I
haven't
wouldn't
managed to
worry
find it.
too much.
It's one of those. I have a long list of films I'm going to be like, yeah, when that shows up on a streaming platform, I guess I will finally see it because it's not actually showing in the cinemas around me. So now we go on to Netflix and Friends, and we are going to go, and I'm going to take this one up, and we're going to talk about Truth Be Told, season 1 of Truth Be Told. There are now 3 seasons of Truth Be Told. This is the first season, and it is based on Apple TV Plus. This stars Octavia Spencer as a journalist called Poppy Parnell. And the whole thrust of this is that she has a podcast. She has a podcast and she's like won awards and everything like that for being a journalist. She's started to this podcast. And at the beginning, you find that she's going to a courtroom. And in this courtroom, they're talking about this old case. And there's some new evidence that says that this person who was convicted of a murder 13 years ago, no, 19 years ago, might not actually be guilty. And this is a case that made her name because she's the one who actually went and she wrote a whole bunch of articles saying, anatomy of a monster, blah, 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 talking about this 16-year-old kid. And a lot of what she wrote has been credited with him being convicted and being locked up in jail for 19 years. And then she sees this one piece of evidence that makes her think, I might have got that wrong. And so yeah, so she goes to the family and she's trying to figure out, she's trying to ask the question, did I get this wrong? And she's trying to go through the whole thing and figure out, okay, did I get this wrong? And she's doing a new podcast about her investigating her original thing to see whether she got it wrong and whether she was responsible for sending somebody to jail erroneously.
Right.
Yeah, and that is the premise. And the premise, and from you saying right, I think I think you might agree with me that I think it's an intriguing premise. I was like, okay, cool, yeah, but because this is actually the kind of thing that happens on. But then this show, as it carries on, I think it wastes the premise a bit because the whole idea about this is that she's doing the podcast as she is investigating. So it's not like she's done the whole investigation that she does a podcast. So she finds something else, she does episode a week. She finds something else, she does another episode. She finds something, she does another episode. And for me, I don't know if that's the way some people do their actual true crime podcasts, but it seems really, really irresponsible. Because there seems to be no, I mean, even within the world of this show, there's no kind of like rhyme or reason. There's no like detective work or anything like that. She finds a new theory and she puts the theory out there. She goes, oh, this is what happens. This person killed him and we think it's this person's father. And you're like, wait, and even just watching it, you're going, hang on, I have like 3 or 4 different questions. And I'm not even an investigator. I'm not a police person. I have 3 or 4 different questions about what you've just done. And wait, but couldn't that have been the case? But she's and then it seems like when you watch something, and I think that you watch a really good detective thing where you can actually sort of see the detective work that they go through. When you watch a good Sherlock Holmes or like a Jonathan Creek or something like that, when they do it, even a good Columbo, you can put it together and you can see how it's actually being done. The detective process seems to be find somebody, accuse them, they're the one, they did it, oh my god, they did it, how, hang on, they didn't do it, we just found this piece of evidence that says they couldn't have done it, okay, cool, they're the next person, they did it.
How many episodes have we got in this? How many?
We've got 8 episodes in this season. Yeah, 8 episodes of that shown. 8 episodes of just randomly pointing at people and saying, they did it.
That was him. It was him.
It was him. It wasn't
me. It wasn't me.
It wasn't him. It wasn't him.
So do they investigate all the people who they say it was him, and then they investigate him, then they investigate, or
yeah, they do, but it's kind of like things happen, like they just go and accuse somebody and they find out and they go, oh no, actually, there was actually a very easy alibi that can be very easily verified. That means that wasn't that person. Oh, I guess it wasn't that person. And the idea is that she is doing this podcast, and on this podcast, she is going out there and she is saying it was this person, it was that person, it was that person. And I'm thinking that if that was you as a journalist, you would very quickly lose your credibility.
Yeah, definitely, 100% you would.
I mean, I know that there's some journalists, like if there's some partisan journalists, like, so I'm a Republican journalist, I'm a Democrat, and they can say whatever the hell they want, and people will still follow them. But that's not the way she's supposed to be drawn. And I just think that the way the investigation goes forward is stupid. And then the final reveal of what happens left me with a lot of questions. I will not go as far as saying it made no sense. But I would say it left me with a lot of questions because I was kind of like, wait, when they finally reveal what actually happened, you're like, well, why would that have happened? It's like, and so I'll tell you how bad it was, right? So this is 8 episodes. And I thought it was 10. So I was watching the 8th episode and I was like, well, obviously they're going to have 2 more episodes and they're going to actually sort of explain why that happened. And then the season ends and you're like, what? Oh, that was it. That was it. And you just go, oh, no. They haven't, they've missed a bit out of the story. They haven't given this to him. It is not fulfilling. It is not a good, it has elements of a good mystery, but the way they actually investigated and the way it's rubbish. There's some good performances in it. I mean, I think so they had this whole thing where Poppy Parnell, because she used to be in the San Francisco area, that she moved to New York and she's back in the San Francisco area. And all the there's this whole melodrama subplot about her family and her dad. And her dad used to be in a biker gang, and he was like in a black biker gang. And there's this whole thing about the black biker gangs and the white biker gangs in the Bay Area. And that stuff is more compelling than the actual mystery. Like the family stuff is more compelling than the actual mystery. So when I first started watching, I was like, okay, man, this might be something. I've got like 3 seasons to catch up with. I finished watching the first season a couple of weeks back, probably about 3 weeks back. And I don't think I can be bothered, because if it carries on like this, I'm like, that first one, I felt like you wasted my time a bit, because you didn't, you wasted a good premise and you didn't follow it through, and you just, and really just, I don't feel like there was enough detectiving going on. I don't feel like there was enough thoughts going into how do we solve this thing. It was just kind of like, you, oh no, it's not that person. Now going back to suspect 1. And it just felt as if they were just trying to fill up time and waste time until the 8 episodes were up. And I would give it a 2 out of 5. I mean, it's on Apple TV Plus, so it looks great. I mean, all the houses that people are in this thing, you're like, oh, I would love to live there. So you can see they throw a lot of money at it, but the story is leaves quite a bit to be desired.
Right? Okay.
Quite a bit to be desired. So save yourself, Sean. And I know you were going ooh at the beginning, and
yeah, because like you said, the premise was ooh, and then it was a disappointment. Yeah.
Okay. Well, because I think that there was a show. Oh, I never actually reviewed this, but there was a show on ITV called Karen Perry. And Karen Perry is about a cold case. Similar thing, like cold case, someone was killed years ago, the killer was never caught. They're trying to reopen the case. And they have a similar thing where there's somebody in there who's very irresponsibly making a podcast about this ongoing investigation that's going on. But I think the way it's treated there is a lot better. It's a lot better in that than the way it's treated here. So if you want a podcast solving mystery kind of thing, watch Karen Perry. It's better than Truth Be Told. Right, and now we go to cinema. We go to cinema, and I saw what?
Yeah. Go on. Yeah, I'm looking at this one.
Yes, and I saw Epic Tales. And to tell you what kind of thing this is Epic Tales, and it's Tales spelled Tails, as opposed to T-A. What's that?
Cats.
There are cats in this, but the main person we're talking about in this is a mouse. We're talking about this is a mouse, and this is because I was telling Sean earlier, I've been ill for this whole week. I have not left my house for about 4 days. First time I left the house, and I took my daughter out of the house because we've both been ill, and she was like, "Daddy, you want to go to the cinema?" She calls it the cinema.
Cinema. That's great, isn't it? I love their stuff.
Yeah, cinema. Yeah. So she just wants to go to the cinema, and I was like, oh, okay, in that case, yeah, let's go. No problem. Because, I mean, as you can imagine, for somebody who loves films, when your daughter asks that she, at the age of 2, that she wants to go to the cinema, you're like, yes, I am not even going to argue with that. And also, I found some cheap deal. That means I can go for cheaper than usual. So, yeah. And I'm going to go. So we went along, and I tried to find something that we could both watch. And I figured the only thing I could find was an 18, was a 15. And I'll remember what it was that what my options were. But then this was the only thing that I could see that I could say, right, I could probably, I could still call myself a good father if I take it to see this. And it's something I've seen the trailer for. I've seen the trailer for Epic Tales. And I know we usually have Sharon on the podcast, and Sharon is like our resident animation hater. She just does not.
Yeah, she doesn't like animation. She'll do one a year, won't she?
Yeah,
she'll do one a year if you're lucky.
She'll do one a year, and thankfully for her, she does not have any children who are close enough to her to drag her to see films and to see animated films regularly. She does so. And this is a film that even I saw the trailer for this and I thought, no, forget it. Because I think that there's levels of animation. There's animation that's made to actually make something that's good, make something that's good. There's animation that's made to be adult. There's animation that's made to be like kids, but still apply to, still have something, had another layer for adults. And there's animation that's made for half term, which is just supposed to be something that, and this might be totally unfair, but this is how it feels to me. They knocked it out quickly. They put it out there. They haven't put that much thought into it. They haven't put it into building the worlds. It's kind of like a hodgepodge of ideas, and that's what this is. So the whole idea is that you have people who live in this Greek city called Iolcus, or Iolcos, and you are focusing on this on a mouse called Patty. A mouse called Patty, whose only family is a cat. And the cat doesn't want her to leave home, but she has those ideas of being like, a big adventurer. And in this world, this is the same world as Jason and the Argonauts. So you have Jason and the Argonauts, and they're the big people in this town because they're the adventurers. And she wants to be like an adventurer like Jason and the Argonauts, but they're like, oh no, a mouse can't do that. That's only what humans do. Humans are heroes. Mice just stay here. And you have things like at the beginning, there's this that you meet this sort of like underbelly of all the animals who live in the sewers, and you have like the rats, and you have this sort of ninja rat squadron and all that. But it's a ninja rat squadron, but they're like in Greece. So it's like this hodgepodge of thing. And the whole thing is that they bring Jason out, and Jason is now an old man. Jason is this old dude, and they have built this wonderful statue to Zeus. They built this wonderful statue to Zeus. And then you can see like influence from all these different things. Like so Sean, Clash of the Titans, and that bit in Clash of the Titans where you have the gods, like you have Zeus and all the Poseidon, and they're all standing around this table looking down at what the humans are doing.
Yes. Yeah,
exactly the same thing. They have that animated, this whole thing, exactly the same thing. And so Zeus is looking at that, and Zeus is looking down, going, "Oh, look at the statue they've made of me. Oh, look how good, and it's totally accurate as well." And Zeus is always like an old man with a pot belly, but his statue is like all ripped with like a six-pack. And Zeus is walking around and he's taunting all the other gods, telling them about how much people love him. And Poseidon gets really annoyed because Poseidon is like, "Look at their town. They're on the coast. All of them trade. Everything comes because of the water, and they make a statue to you." So Poseidon goes down to the city and he tells them all, "Okay, you guys have 7 days to build me a statue that's as good as my brother's. And if you don't build me a statue that's good as my brother's, I'll destroy your town." And then he leaves. So Jason and the Argonauts have to get back up, and they have to go back on a thing. And the whole joke of this film is that Jason and the Argonauts are old. Actually, most of them are dead and get reanimated to go on this thing. that they're old, they're useless, and essentially it's the animals that do everything, and Jason and the Argonauts are just kind of like going, "Oh well, I guess we did something." So they go on there, and it's like almost like and then it becomes like a Sinbad voyage of Sinbad, the 7 voyages of Sinbad, that kind of thing. Action adventure, Greek thing, gods come down, blah 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 blah. So much so, I mean, this film is only an hour and a half long, only 90 minutes long. It feels longer.
How did Kemi get on with it? How did your daughter get on with it?
She kept walking up and leaving the cinema.
Oh wow. Oh right.
She kept I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we've taken it to the cinema 3 times. So there have been 3 things that she's watched when she's old enough to actually pay attention to. She has seen Matilda the musical. She's paid attention to that. She has seen Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. She paid attention to that. This one, within about 5 minutes, she was like, "Daddy, you want to go wee wee?" Walked up, went out of the thing, wanted to walk around the cinema, wanted to get. I was like, okay, cool, let's go back in. We went back in. Daddy, want to go wee wee? Okay, let's go back in. We had to switch our seats because she wanted to go and walk around the cinema for a bit. And oh my God, she was not really interested in this film.
Oh,
she was not. And I can say, well, I'm a bit proud because I'm like, yeah, there isn't that much to be interested in. It's kind of straightforward. There are a couple of good ideas in it, but it's like a hodgepodge thing. And it's like, you think, okay, but if that works, that doesn't really, they have this whole thing about the Cyclops, and it's let me put it this way. Almost exclusively, everybody in there was like, people with small kids. There was even kids younger than Kemi in there. And because it's half term, this film has been released for half term. So if you're a parent and you want something and you can get a deal, like I got a deal for View Cinemas where I only paid £3.80 for a ticket. So if you could get a deal like that, yeah, take your child to the cinema. Maybe, hopefully, they won't just run around like mine did and ask to keep going to the toilet because they're just not interested in the film. That's what this film is designed for. It's okay. I mean, they provided a service for parents who need something to do with their children at half term. They provided a service, but the film itself, not that great. I would give it a 2 out of 5, but it is not that. It's probably a bit harsh because it's not that insulting. It's not supposed to be
or whatever.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be great. It isn't great. So I'll give it a 2 out of 5, and I think that's all I can say about Epic Tales. Tales spelled Tails. Yeah. Yes. So
the gods and all that, they're humans, yeah. Humans.
Well, they look like humans, yeah. So in this town, you have the humans, and that's Jason and the people then, but they have the animals who are underground, and they have this whole thing where they riff on the rats being like the mafia, and the rats are like the mafia. Then they have like this thing, and there's all that, and then they have a school, but never mind. That's all by the by. That's all by the by. That's all I can really say about that. And I think I'm pretty sure it was originally made to not be in English, because this thing has like 3 different titles. It has one title, Paty, or something which is in French, and I'm pretty sure it was made by a French animation house. And then you have the English title, which is Epic Tales, but it's also called Argonauts, like Argonauts with nuts spelled Nuts. So I think it's just made somebody, and then they just decided we can take it around the world and we can get different voice casts, which happens with most animation, but this is just a bit meh. But let's go on to something which I'm hoping is a little bit better, and that is Devotion on Netflix.
Devotion, yes, yeah.
So Sean, tell us about Devotion.
Okay, so Netflix, it's early 1950, and this lieutenant gets transferred to a fighter squadron, a naval fighter squadron, and he bumps into a African-American, Jesse Brown, who's like the only African-American pilot in the squadron. And obviously it's one of these things where he lives in a sort of white neighborhood, this pilot, but the Tom, who sort of makes friends with him, actually goes to his house, and they become quite close, even with all this racial stuff. And they get deployed to the Mediterranean for anti-Russian thing, and then the Korean War breaks out. Oh yeah. But so first of all, it's all about the Chance Voigt Corsair. Now the Corsair is a World War II plane it's a classic shape. It's got the folded wings. I quite liked it, and it's about them. So these are like good rugged planes that take off of aircraft carriers. So where they're heading out, they're training, landing. So you've got like a period of the film where you've got all the squadrons, what they're doing, the takeoff, landing, all the practicing and things like that. And then they end up in sort of the Korea area, and the Chinese have just invaded Korea. So they have to go on these missions. So they go on a mission to destroy people and all of that. And the Jesse decides that he's going to do a mission that he hasn't had orders for. And so he does a bit of a mission. On the way back, he gets before this happens, the wife says to Tom, the white pilot, says, make sure he comes back with you, make sure bring him back to me. So anyway, so we're back to Korea, and in Korea, and he gets sort of shot down. He has there's like a plane, can you make it, typical. I don't know if people have seen aircraft movies, but so it's pretty much,
you see that Sean, sorry, okay, carry on, I'll tell you what I'm going to say.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got, one plane in trouble, and the other pilot's by him saying, can you make it? Been in a lot of films to do with. And then obviously he crashes, and he's down there, and the other guy decides that he's going to crash as well to try and save him. So he's sort of disobeying orders. And then there's the best part of the movie, which I like, is they actually send over Wildcats, which are like the one of these planes to try and sort of help protect them from. So there's a little bit of action that's sort of going on. And
no, because the thing that got me about this film is that what I wanted to know is it your typical aircraft Air Force movie where
it's like a Korean Top Gun, you know. It's like,
Yeah, exactly. like I know, we had Red Tails. Red Tails was made a
Red
couple of
Tails,
years ago,
yeah.
which was essentially like World War II
Yeah,
Top
yeah.
Gun. It was made. It was said, well, the whole idea was that it was supposed to be about the black airmen, but it was really just World War II Top Gun. That's
Yes.
what they did. And with this, and I know that I've heard about the devotion one we're hearing about the film and the fact that it has Glenn Powell, who was the Top Gun Maverick in it and all that. And it made me wonder, is this just like, an air movie? Like, and when you say the whole thing about fly beside each other, can you make it? Can you make it? I'm like, yeah, we've seen that in a lot of aircraft, military aircraft movies. So,
Yeah.
So does this? So okay, we know that this is a typical aircraft movie. Does it have anything else to recommend it?
Not really. It's pretty standard fare. It's pretty standard fare. As I say, it was quite interesting. For me, the interesting part of the film was the aircraft itself. I mean, I guess some of them would have been CGI'd because they're so good at that now. But because, as I say, the Voight Corsair it's one of those ones that just always. I mean, obviously, when I was younger, I used to know all the World War II planes. British, Japanese. But there's certain ones that are iconic, I think, like obviously the Spitfire, and the Voight Corsair is like one that you see all the time with the folded wings, the clipped wings. It's a classic plane. So that was quite interesting. And as I say, the bit of action at the end where they actually get Wildcats, which were like World War II planes again, but they were more. Or they they were sort of flat wings rather than the fold up wing. But yeah, on the whole, basically, Korea Top Gun. There was another. I remember there's a film I've seen a couple of times which I love called The Bridges at Toko-ri, which is a William Holden film, which was far superior to this one. So I mean, it's okay. It's standard fare. It's not like we haven't. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Top Gun in World War II. Yeah.
Apparently it's based on a true story. So the characters in this were actually like real. So the character you spoke about, I think, was it Jesse Brown? Jesse Brown was actually a real person who was the lone black airman in the division. So and the film's based on a book as well. And I always feel like it's a bit like how we had when we reviewed Till, and we had someone who sort of like was questioning, shall we say, was questioning your review of Till and all that, was going like don't you I think for me it was kind of like almost of saying, don't you know about the history behind this thing? And I'm kind of like, well, no. we don't know about the history of this thing.
We don't know the history of that.
We don't know the history of this thing. It was thousands of miles away in a totally different culture. These things, we have no reason to know the history about these things. And so with things like, I'm happy about these films because every now and then they do highlight these things about the fact that, like, we didn't know there was a lone black airman in this division or anything like that. But at the same time, I feel like I feel like to get more films like this, they're not all going to be home runs. Sometimes they're just going to be standard, okay, fine, 3-star movies.
Much, yeah.
Yeah,
is that what they call? Is that what they call popcorn movies?
Yeah, popcorn movies. Yeah, popcorn movies.
Yeah.
And I think I'd rather have a popcorn movie that tells you something than a popcorn movie that just is just there.
Doesn't.
I'd rather have a popcorn movie about this than a popcorn movie about somebody killing people. Like, oh my God. Okay. Anyway, first of all, you tell us your star rating. I'll talk to you about some feedback, and then I'll talk to you about you. Okay.
So yeah, well, probably a 3-star, a popcorn movie. It's not like special. It's not out the way, and it's got some fairly good moments. But the main stars are the planes. So yeah, so 3 stars.
3 stars for devotion. The main stars are the planes. All right, cool. So I was talking to you earlier on about how we received some feedback on your Till review, and it was from a guy called Terrence Moore, and he was talking about. I think you talked about the fact that there wasn't much the action in the movie, and I think we think that there might be some things between the way English use action and Americans use action. Oh, we're not sure. And he also, but I repeat, and I replied to him just sort of explaining so kind of what you said is like, well, I know that there's some history behind this, but this film actually alerted us to the history, and we didn't have that history in there. And if you're in America, that history is probably straight in your face. And when you're watching the film, the history plays into your reaction to the film. And for us in the UK, we don't have that history. So all we're just seeing is a film. And I replied to him, and I like to say, I love it when this happens, and I think it needs to be shouted out when this happens. A pleasant exchange on the internet. Yeah. I know. Terrence came back in touch with us while we were recording, and he says, "No problem, Mr. Tosin." Well, and he's polite too. No problem, Mr. Tosin. Yes, and he says I was stationed. He said I was stationed in the UK before. Thanks for the clarification. Thanks for the clarification, sir. And he ends it with cheers, which makes you think he was stationed in the UK.
Yeah.
He says cheers. So okay, so there's that, and then the other thing is I was talking about. We're talking about popcorn stuff and talking about diversion being a popcorn thing, and Sean, have you heard about the TV show You?
You?
Yeah, You, just YOU. That's the name of the show, You.
No, I can't say I have. I can't say I'm.
Okay, so it's on Netflix. It has just been, they've just started its 4th season. It seems to move location. So it was in New York for the first season. It was in LA. I can't remember where it was for its 3rd season. And now it's in London. It's in London for its 4th season. And it's essentially about a serial killer. It's about a guy who stalks people, gets obsessed with women, stalks people, and then because of this obsession and this stalking that he's doing with women, ends up killing a whole bunch of people. And the fact that it's on his 4th season tells you that this guy keeps getting away with it. That he keeps getting away with it, season after season, keeps getting away with it. This show is a massive hit with loads of people watching and going, "Oh my God, it's going to be in London now." And I can't help but think, why? Why is this a massive hit? I mean, I'm like, it's a show about a serial killer. It's not like Dexter where you could at least say, well, he only kills bad people. No, this is a show about people who stalks women. And I went and did some reading about them. Let me just say that if there's a woman that he has a crush on, it's probably not going to end well for her. Yeah. And I'm like, why is this entertainment? Why is this popular? And so anyway, just my little side saying that I'll take devotion, and I'll not take that kind of popcorn thing that at least has some sort of thing and makes you realize that there was at least a black airman in this state in the Korean War. But why that? I just don't understand. But I mean, if people like it, I'm not here saying people shouldn't like what they like, but I just don't understand it. I really, really don't understand it. But anyway, all that we have to do now is to say who has won this week. Sean, what do you reckon?
I think the cinema has got, because it's got 2 3s, whereas no, it could be a tie actually, couldn't it? Could it be a tie? I'm trying to remember now. I mean, I'm pretty standard. I'm 3-3, but there was a 2 in there somewhere.
Yeah, there was at least 1-2 today. There's at least 1-2 today. So what do you reckon?
Cinema.
You think so?
It's a tie, is it? Is it a tie?
Oh, is that your final answer?
Yeah, we call it a tie.
You are right. For the 2nd week running, we have a dead heat. We have a dead heat with both cinema. I mean, it wasn't as high as last week. Where last week we had a 4 and a 3 on both cinema and Netflix. Now we've had a 3 and a 2 from both cinema and Netflix and Friends. So yeah, a 3 and a 2. But that is everything from us this week. Oh, and I found out what the other film was. It wasn't Scream 6. It was Magic Mike's Last Dance. Magic Mike's Last Dance was the film I did not think I could take a 2-year-old.
I did look at that. I'm not sure on that one. That would be at a push, but I don't think from the trailer, I don't think that's probably. I don't know.
Yeah. I like Channing Tatum. I like Salma Hayek. I like Steve Soderbergh, and it could work. It could be rubbish. But
yeah. I mean, if I get a chance, I'll probably see it as one of the ones. So we got something next week. Although
I might do. The problem is that the trailer makes me think that this whole film might just be an advert for the Magic Mike show in London. It makes me feel like it might just be an advert for the Magic Mike show in London, which I'm hoping it isn't. I'm hoping that they've actually done something better with it. But anyway, until next week, where hopefully we'll have some. Oh, Sean, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say we got Ant-Man, haven't we, coming out this weekend?
Yes, we have got Ant-Man Quantumania. Oh, to see if Marvel can begin to pull it back, or if what I always predicted has started happening.
Yeah.
which is that Marvel will begin to crumble and the multiverse will be the thing to do it. We will see. We will see, but I will try not to review that before I've seen it. All right. All right. Until next week, it's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
Thank you very much for joining
and
us.
thanks for your feedback. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much for your feedback, especially you, Terrence. Thank you very much for your feedback. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Cool. Cool.